Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and start a brand new series. So the series is going to be based off of Fish It and stuff. I did a series a little bit on fish, or however you pronounce it, a while back and stuff. I want to start a new series on fishes since I think that's like the most popular game on Roblox right now and stuff. This is part one, so I'm just gonna cover the basic mechanic. Like I just made a basic casting system and whatnot. If the video does well, then I'll continue making more parts, like to finish the system and to work on the other system, the collecting system and whatnot and stuff. So as long as you guys show the video love and support, I will drop more and more parts and stuff. So if you guys find any bugs or just generally want to show your support, just let me know in the comments and stuff if you want to see more of these videos. This video dropping on Christmas Eve, so if you celebrate, hope everybody's having a great Christmas Eve and hope everybody has a great Christmas as well. But let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Okay, so we do gotta do a few things, right? So for the first thing, let's go ahead and let's take care of our parts. Okay, so for the first thing, I'm gonna make like a, like a kind of like a little pier slash like a dock, right? But I'm not a map builder. I'm just a scripter. So I'm just gonna make this very simple, very basic. So something like this. So this is just gonna be like, you're just gonna like, this is gonna be like stairs pretty much, right? So I'm just gonna enter this part, right? You guys don't necessarily have to do this. I'm just doing this just simply, like, you'll see why, right? So then I'm gonna duplicate this, right? Drag this over, right? Then I'm gonna scale it, and then I'm gonna raise it up, because yeah, just imagine like this is like a dock, right? And then there's just a whole bunch of water like out in front, right? So something like that, right? And then this is supposed to be like stairs, right? Then we're gonna have water. So let me rename this real quick. Um, call this floor, I guess, right? Then we need water, right? So the way we can add water is we can go up here, click view at the top, look for this icon right here. You'll see terrain editor, click that. Then at the top, click edit, and then you want to click fill, right? Scroll down here, adjust the sizing to be whatever you want it to be and where you want it to be, and then just click this one down here. Make sure you have water selected, right? Then I'll move this over. So yeah, it's like right there. So you do have to be very careful with this. Like it's a little finicky and stuff, right? So you want it to be like in front of the platform, but not like extremely close to the platform, if that makes sense. So we'll do it. So we'll do it like, I think like that should be good. And then once you're ready, just click fill. Boom. There, and just like that, you have your water ready to go. Okay. So now let's create a part. We're gonna call it our water detection part. This is how we're gonna detect if the player is close enough to be able to fish, right? So let's close the terrain editor. We're gonna just go ahead and insert another part, right? And then you want this to pretty much like capture the entire area of the water. So scale it like this, go up like that, and then you want it across, and then we'll go up. So yeah. So like this, and then obviously let's make it halfway transparent so we can just make sure we're, yeah, the water. So like boom. This is just making sure the player's in front of it. Now, one key important thing, you don't want this to be like this. Like, you don't want it to be where the water is. Like, well, it depends the leveling and stuff, right? It depends. Because, like, if you're on the ground, then it'd be fine. But, like, obviously, for something like this, you'd want this to be higher because, the player will be standing on top of this, and the player, like, height-wise, is going to be looking this direction and stuff. So we want to make sure that it's detected because we're going to cast a ray from the player's human rule part to detect that they're, like, in front of water. So, boom. Then you could just call this water detection part, and then you can just put this wherever there's water and stuff, and just name them all the same thing. And then so a few important things: disable can collide, make sure it's anchored, and then you could just set transparency to 1. You don't want players to be able to see this. And so I mean it's up to you, but I wouldn't really see the reason. We are going to need a remote event, so replicated storage plus icon remote event. Rename this remote event to be core event, and then for the last thing, let's go on ahead and, or actually no, second to last thing. So you're going to need a fishing rod, right? You're going to need a fishing rod. So you can get this so you can get yours from the toolbox makers. It doesn't really matter, but I will definitely say there are some important things that you need to have. I will include the link to this specific fishing rod in the description so you guys can use it so you can avoid any issues and whatnot, because like each model is going to be different. It's going to have a certain amount of parts. Other ones won't have a certain amount of parts because, as you can see, like this one has an attachment which is needed for this specific video. So unless you know what you're doing, you know how to change things, I'd recommend just using the model that I provided in the description. But yeah, so what you're going to do is, right, you're going to head on over to server storage, right? Plus icon folder. By the way, I found this just by going to the toolbox and just typing in fishing rod tool. So you're gonna go here into the folder. You're gonna call this items. Then you're gonna insert a folder inside of the items folder, and then you're going to call this rods for fishing rods, and then you're just going to put your rod here. Now, obviously, the first rod you make should be the starter rod. So very important, it needs to be a tool, and then the naming, make sure you want to keep the naming consistent. So we're just gonna have it as starter rod, right? So boom, so you could just name yours starter rod. Then yeah, from there we can go on ahead and make the UI, and then we can get to the scripting. Okay, so we are going to need a custom hotbar, right? So start GUI plus icon, insert a screen GUI. You can go ahead and rename this to be core GUI. Then you can insert a frame. We're gonna drag this down to like the bottom middle. This is where the players like items would be. So then I could just set the size to maybe like 500. Yeah, we do like 500 by like 100, something like that. And then maybe do like, set this like 6, no, like 80, something like that, right? So we have our frame. You could rename this to be hot bar frame, right? Then you're going to want to insert a UI grid layout, so plus icon, UI grid layout. This is going to automatically resize and control the size and positioning of all the UI elements inside of the frame, so you don't have to worry about manually moving stuff. So I'm going to tell you guys the settings I did. So I did 8, 0, or that's not 8, 8 comma 0 for cell padding, and then for cell size I did, what was it? Yeah, 80 by 80, that's what it was. I did 80 by 80, right? So you guys don't have to do that. You guys can go whatever numbers you want. It's completely up to you guys. So then in there, right, you're then going to insert your text button, right? So for our first button, this is going to be the current rod text button, right? Because then there's going to be a rods text button which opens all the like a like an inventory of like all the rods you currently own. But this is to specifically equip the rod you currently have equipped, or this is to like take it out, I should say. Right, so current rod equipped, and then I'm just gonna set so for this you could set the hotbar frame background transparency to 1. I'm gonna set the current rod text, but I'm gonna set this to be black. Set the background transparency to what, 0.4? Yeah, 0.4 should work. I'm gonna clear out the text, right, and then we're gonna add some things into it. So I'm going to plus icon. Now this stuff is optional, like this extra UI stuff is optional, like minus the 2 text labels I'm about to do. But yes, I'm just gonna put in a UI corner. Then I'm going to also add in a UI stroke. Just make it border, so just like that. Then I'm going to insert a text label, right? So one is going to be the number text label. So this will be in the top left, just be very tiny. So number text label. Except since this will be the first item in our inventory, we're just gonna set the text will be set to 1. So we'll do white text. Text stroke color will be black. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0, and then just bold text. As for the sizing, like 20 by 20, that should work. And then yeah, it'll be right in the corner. So something like that. Then set the background transparency to 1, right? So something like that. Mm, that might be that might be a little too tiny. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe 30 by 30. Oh, my bad. I forgot to scale the text. That's why. Never mind. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo that, right? I'm gonna keep it the same size, but then I'm just gonna scale so rich text, scale the text. Okay, there we go. That looks much better. Okay, so we'll do that, and then insert or actually, no, I'm just gonna duplicate this. So I'm just going to, or just copy this, right click, paste into, set this border to be white. Um, how do you? No, not that. Center, inner, no, outer. Again, this part is optional. You guys don't have to do this. How do you? Hmm. Feel like maybe you said it's like 0.5. Nope, definitely not that. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure. But then I'm also I do need the corner, so I'm just gonna copy this, paste it into. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So there we go. So then we'll just have it like that. Again, you guys don't have to do it like that. That's just how I decided to do it. And then we're also gonna need one more text symbol, right? This is going to be our, this is just the name. So just gonna duplicate that, drag this down to the bottom middle right here. Then this is going to be current rod text label, so just essentially the title. So we're just going, so by default you would put your starting rod here. So we'll just put starter rod, right? So you just put that. We're going to make this maybe 100, no, 50 perhaps. Let's see how that looks. Mm, I feel like we don't need, yeah, we don't need any of this stuff in the current rod. Let's delete that. Yeah, I feel like that's good. I feel like, mm, maybe just do 30. Or no, like 25. No, it would need to still be. Okay, we'll do that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, good enough. Okay, so there we go. We have our first button. And then when it comes time to make the other stuff, all we're simply gonna do is just click this button, just duplicate, boom. Then all you gotta do is just change the number, the text, and then yep, then the names. That's it. So very simple. So just like that, we are done with the UI, and now we can move on to the coding. Okay. So open up starter player, then starter player scripts, plus icon, local script, rename the script to be core script, in parentheses put local, right? You're going to delete print hello world. You're going to create three variables first. Create a variable for the user input service, game get served. That is not get service. Get service, user input service, then create a variable for our remote event. So core event is equal to game that replicated storage, wait for child, core event. And then lastly, create a variable for our local player. So player is equal to game.players.local player. Then we will go ahead and set up two functions. For the first function, we will say core event dot on client events connect to function in parentheses put event type, which is be the name of the event. In between those parentheses, press enter. Then you'll use an if statement. So if event type is equal to in quotation marks disable backpack. So that we disable the default backpack so that we can just because we already have our custom backpack UI. So enter. And then you can simply just say starter UI is equal, or actually no, so this we'll say local starter GUI is equal to game dot starter GUI colon set core GUI enabled enum dot core GUI type dot backpack comma false, and then that's how you disable it, right? Then after that, after that function, you're gonna create a variable called um uh what's it called, rod equipped, yeah. So we're then going to say we're gonna say rod equipped. This is how we'll know whether or not we're like the player's trying to eat. Like when they press the the one key, we'll know if they're either trying to equip the rod or unequip it. So rod equipped by default should be equal to false. Then we'll go ahead and set this up. So UIS that input began connect function in parentheses put input comma process, which pretty much just means the player is not typing in chat. Then press enter. You will then say if input.user input type is equal to enum.user input type dot keyboard and not processed, right? So if they press a key on the keyboard and not processed, which means they were not typing in chat while they pressed it, then we will say if input.keycode, it's up to you for whatever keybind you want. It's up to you. But I just assume since we put one right here, you would want to go one as well and stuff. But it's up to you guys. Then we'll say enum.keycode.one, right? Enter. Then you will say if rod equipped. That's essentially the same thing as saying hold on, saying if rod equipped is equal to true, right? So if the rod is currently equipped, then we'll fire the remote event, core event, fire server, in quotation marks, we will say um unequip rod. And then we'll set rod equipped to be false. Then we'll say else if not rod equipped, enter, then core event, fire server, in quotation marks, equip rod. And then we'll just simply say rod equipped is equal to true. And then that's it for the local side. Let's move on to the server script. Okay. Head on over to server script service, plus icon, server script. Um, you want to rename this to be core script in parentheses put server, right? Delete print hello world. We're gonna again create three variables. So first the items folder. So items folder is equal to game dot server storage colon wait for child items. Then create a variable for our rods folder. So rods folder is equal to items folder, wait for child, rods. And then lastly, create a variable for our remote event. So core event is equal to game.replicated storage, wait for child, core event. Then we go ahead and set up the function. We will say game.players.player added, colon, connect, function in parentheses, put PLR, which is just short for the player who joined the game, press enter, right? So now we're gonna create a whole bunch of stats that will be used in later parts of the series, assuming the video does well and whatnot. So first let's set the leader stats, which means what all the players will be able to see. So go ahead and create a leader stats folder. So leader stats is equal to instance.new. This is going to be a folder. Leader stats.name is equal to in quotation marks leader stats. Then leader stats.parent would of course be the player. And then now for our actual leader stats. So first would be the amount of fish the player has caught. So caught is equal to instance.new, number value, caught.name is equal to in quotation marks caught. Then caught.value should be 0 by default. Caught.parent should be parented to the leader stats, right? And then from here we can just copy and paste to save ourselves some time. So we could just select this control plus C or just copy in the top left. So then control plus V or just paste in the top left, either one works. So for the next thing, we have coins. So the currency, control C. So I'm just gonna copy and paste. Boom, boom, coins. I mean, I don't know. You guys may set this to like 100 or something like it and stuff. So that's completely up to you guys. Right, all right, and then and then from there, one last thing, paste again, and then this would be level. So the player's current level. Control C. We're not gonna do anything with these stats so far and stuff. We'll do stuff with them later in the series. So then level, right, and then by default, I mean this could be 0, but most games usually start with 1 or start at 1, I should say. Then again, Control C, Control V, and then for this, oh my bad, actually no, I did that wrong. For the next thing, do it like this. You want to copy and paste the leader stats and then the cot value, and then go down here, paste, right? So for this, you want to create a variable for our fish inventory. So this is going to be a folder for all the fish you've collected. So Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. So keep track of all the fish you've caught. And then for this is going to be, we're going to call this equipped rod. This is going to be the rod that you currently have equipped. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, and Control V. And then this should be parented to the player. Then this is going to be a string value, right? Because it'll be the name of the rod. And then by default, this would be starter rod or whatever oh my bad, that's the wrong thing. Not the name. The value should be starter rod and stuff, right? Or whatever you want to call it. It's up to you guys, right? But the whole point is it should match it should match this name, whatever name you give it here. It should match the tool, right? Remember, that's the link to that is in the description. And then we'll fire the remote event. So core event, fire. Make sure you do client singular, not all clients. Player, comma, and quotation marks, disable backpack. Recall that's what we did here. That's this part. So we'll do that. So we'll do that once the player joins the game, and also player.character added connect function close parentheses press enter. We also need to disable it whenever the character respawns. So Control C, Control V. Boom. Okay, we are done with the first function, and then now onto the second function to handle like the most of the casting and stuff. But it's a very basic system that needs more to be added onto it, which will be done in the future. So core event dot on server event connect function in parentheses put, oh my bad, first up is PLR, which is short for the player, then comma event type. Press enter, create a variable for our player's character, it's equal to player character. Then we'll set up the if statement. So if event type is equal to in quotation marks equip rod enter, then you will create a variable for said rod. So you will say rod is equal to, first we need to make sure that we can find it. So we'll say rod is equal to rod's folder, find first child. Then this is where the equipped rod value comes into play. So player.equipped rod.value. So if we can find it, then we'll say if rod. So if it was found, enter, then we will clone it. So very important, make sure you clone it. So then rod clone, right? And then we're also gonna create a value this way, so you guys don't have to like manually create this value. We're gonna create a Boolean value which is casted. It's gonna decide we're gonna be able to tell if like the rod is if the rod is currently casted inside, like if the value inside of the rod um is set to true, the rod casted, then we know like just casting, the player's like waiting to catch something and stuff, right? So we know the difference between they're trying to cast and then they're trying to like reel it in kind of thing. So then we'll create this value. So rod casted will be a bool value, right? Rod casted dot name is equal to rod casted. Rod casted dot value by default should be set to false. And then rod casted dot parent should be set to the rod clone, right? Then after that, we're going to go ahead and create some variables. So this is for the casting system. So three things. First, the cast force, the up force, and then the line length. So first things first, we have the cast force. So this is essentially how far in front of you it is going to go, right? So you guys are free to set this to whatever numbers you want. You can play around with these numbers to get whatever you want and stuff, right? So this is going to be how far it is in front of you, right? Like the force at which it's going to swing forward. So I'm going to set this to 70. Then we have the up force, which is obviously how high up in the air it's going to go. So because something could go like forward, but we need this to go up. We need this to go up and forward. So then this is going to be what is called up force, which I'm going to set this to 35. And then lastly we have line length. Line length. So this is essentially how long the line, like stretching from like the top of the fishing rod, um like it is going to be. You don't want this to be too long because then it'll literally just it'll phase right through like your floor and like the map and stuff. So you don't want that to be too long. So I'm just going to set this to minus 15, right? Again, adjust these numbers to whatever you want. Then we're going to say rod clone dot activated. So whenever a player clicks, that's not the right thing. Whenever a player clicks, well, oh my bad, I forgot it doesn't know it's a tool. Yeah, rod clone dot activated, and then we're going to say connect parentheses function, close parentheses, press enter. Right, then we're going to check some stuff. First, let's get the start position. So start position is equal to character dot humanoid root part dot position. I didn't feel the need to make hitboxes for something like as simple as this, since this isn't anything like really important like combat or anything that you need to be like extremely accurate or something. So then we'll create a variable for our direction. So direction will be equal to character dot humanoid. Wait, I just realized. Do I ever actually? Oh no, I do. Never mind. I do use this. Okay, never mind. So humanoid root part dot c-frame dot look vector, right? Then we need to create some raycast parameters. So raycast params is equal to raycast params dot new close parentheses press enter. Then raycast params dot filter type is equal to enum dot raycast filter type dot exclude, and then raycast params dot filter descendants instances is equal to special brackets for a table. We'll say character colon get descendants, right? Then from there, you'll create the ray. So we'll say ray is equal to workspace, raycast, your start position, comma, your direction. This is very, very, very important. Make sure your direction is being multiplied by something, right? Because if you don't multiply by something, it's probably not going to detect it. So the way you choose this number is how far you want it to be, right? Like how far you want the player to be. For example, if you want the players to be able to like fish from like all the way over here, or like all the way over here, then you want that number to be large. If you want them to be able to fish from here, then you don't want it to be too large. So just like 5. I'm gonna set mine to 5, right? Again, adjust these things as need to be. Comma, and then our recast parameters. Then after that, we're gonna create another value. This is gonna be for our check. So near water is equal to false. So before casting the line, we need to make sure that the player isn't, trying to fish over here. There's literally nothing over here. We need to make sure they're actually by water. That's the whole point of the water detection part, right? So we're then going to use an if statement. So we're going to say if ray, so if the ray was cast and ray.instance, it made contact with some kind of object, and ray.instance.name is equal to water detection part, enter, then near water is set to true, right? That's simple. So then from there, I'm gonna go ahead and say if, what's it called? If rod casted dot value is equal to false and near water is equal to true, which means the player is currently trying to cast. Then we will say rod casted dot value is set to true, right? And then from here we're gonna go ahead and create a variable for our attachment, which is inside of the rod. That's why I said that's why I said I honestly just I would suggest y'all just simply use the model I sent and stuff, or not sent, but like provided, I should say. So we're then gonna say rod attachment is equal to rod clone dot part dot attachment one. Then we're going to create our what is it called? Oh, bobber. Yeah, that's what it's called. So then we're gonna create our bobber. That's like the ball kind of thing. So bobber is going to be it's going to be a part. So instance that new quotation marks part, right? Then we're going to set a whole bunch of properties. So bobber.name is equal to bobber.size is equal to vector3.new 0.5 comma 0.5 comma 0.5, right? Then we'll say bobber.shape is equal to nm.partType dot ball. Then we'll say bobber dot material is equal to nm dot material dot plastic. Then we'll say, or that's not the right thing. That's plaster, not plastic. Then we'll say bobber dot color, which again, some of the stuff is like it's up to you guys entirely. We'll just say 250 by 60 by 69, right? Um, or wait, I think no, I think that's supposed to just be 60, but I don't think that really matters. But anyway, then we're gonna say bobber dot can't collide by default. It should be to false. Then bobber dot anchored should be set to false, right? Then we're going to set the position. So bobber dot position, its starting position should be rod clone dot part dot position, and then lastly bobber dot parent should be the rod clone. Boom, right? Then from here we're gonna go ahead and create the attachment so to keep it hooked onto the line. So what is this called again? Bobber attachment is equal to instance that new. We're gonna create this, so attachment. Then bobber attachment dot parent will be the bobber, of course. Then from there we're going to create the rope. This is going to be like the I mean, it's not really rope. It's more so. I mean, it's literally a rope constraint, but I mean, it's more so string. But we're just gonna call it a rope, right? So then we're going to set, or I think it's called the line. I think, but it doesn't really matter. Rope is equal to instance dot new notation marks rope constraint, right? So then from here, y'all already know we're gonna set some properties. So rope dot attachment 0 is equal to rod attachment, then rope attachment 1 is equal to bobber attachment, then rope dot length is equal to the line length, whatever you set that to. Then rope dot visible will be set to true, right? Then rope dot thickness will be set to 0.5, or not sorry, not 0.5, 0.05. Then rope dot parent will be set to the bobber, and let me just double check to make sure we are good. Okay, we are good. Stuff. She's already 30 minutes long. That's exactly why I was like, I'm just gonna stop here and then just give you all the basic rundown of it, right? Anyway, from here, we're gonna update our direction variable that we created up here, because obviously, a few seconds have passed during this time, so we just want to make sure this is up to date. So direction is equal to same thing, character dot humanoid upart dot cframe dot look vector, right? Then after that, you're going to say bobber that assembly line linear vector is equal to direction times cast force times vector3 dot new 0 comma up force, that's not up force, comma 0, right? That simple. Boom. And then now we're just going to set this up so that once it realizes it's touched the water, so we're going to say bobber dot touched connect function in parentheses put hit enter, right? Then we're going to say if hit.name, this is very important, is equal to terrain. Now the reason for this is this, right? Now some of you may be thinking, why didn't we use the water detection part? Keep in mind, we need this part to specifically tell us when the player is in front of the water, right? Because the problem is this, you see how tall it is? We need it to be this tall, but if the player tries to cast a line, as soon as it makes contact with this, right? So like up here, it'll just freeze the line like midair, like before it actually even touches the water and stuff. So we're just gonna wait for it to actually make contact with the water, which is just terrain that we generated. So, because this isn't an actual part, so it's just terrain. So fit name is equal to terrain, right? Enter, then you'll say character, humanoid, root part. You don't want the player to be able to move during this, so just anchor their part, their humanoid root part. Then we will also anchor the bobber. It's not how you spell that. Anchored is equal to true, right? Then you're gonna skip two ends, and then now we're gonna do the this is when you're trying to pull the line in. So else if this is gonna be real short though. So else if rod casted dot value is equal to true and near water, which should be true in this case. Enter, right? From here, what you're gonna do is you're simply just gonna say rod clone dot. You're gonna say rod clone dot bobber destroy. So you're gonna destroy that because everything is parented to the bobber. Then rod casted dot value is set to false, and then you'll just do the opposite. Just copy and paste this Control C, Control V, and then just set these to false. And then yeah, that's done with that. That's done with that part. You're gonna then skip three ends, enter. Then you'll say else if event type is equal to in quotation marks unequip rod. Enter. And then you're just simply gonna do the same thing. So create a variable for the rod, which should now this time you're looking for it should be parented to the character. So you're just gonna simply say player dot equipped rod dot value. Then it'll say if rod, if it finds the rod, then you just simply destroy it. Boom. Okay. Let's go ahead and test to make sure everything works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, this one or any of my other ones, just simply read the description and figure out how to get access. All you do is you read it and just and then yeah. So if we go ahead and press one, okay, I'm pressing the one key and nothing is happening. That is fantastic. Unequip rod. Unequip rod. I did do this right, didn't I? Equip rod. Or even fire seven. I don't know why it's not working. The leader stats is working, but for some reason I'm pressing one and it's not. It's not giving me the rod. Okay, this is very interesting. It is inside of the rods thing. Okay. Okay, guys, let's see. Going to debug this real quick. Um, test. Let's see. Okay, so that is okay. So that part's working. So then we go to the server side. So we're making it here. When we get to the equipped rod dot value, if rod, then rod clone is equal to oh, I might actually be stupid. Wait, just hold on. Oh, I'm stupid. I just realized. I just realized what I did. I did this, but I never actually parented the rod. I just realized that I never did that. So rod clone. So after we parent the rodcast, you're gonna parent this to the character. I just realized I never actually parented the rod. Okay. Now when I press one, there we go. There we go. We have it now, right? So boom. So we can just equip, unequip, equip, unequip. Okay. So if I try to left click, as you can see, nothing is gonna happen. Now, if I go in front of the water, nothing's gonna happen. You have to be within that certain distance, right? Which again, you guys can adjust. So as you guys can see, boom, I don't know why I did it like that. Let me see. Why is it? Huh. It's weird. Why is it just dropping straight down like that? I don't know why my thing is gray either, but hold on. That's so weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Direction times 5. Hold on, guys. Let me go through this part again. Start position. That wouldn't matter. Bopper dot assembly linear velocity direction times cast force times vector 3 dot new 0 up force. Seventy, 35, and 15. Then the direction is times 5. This is interesting. Then the bobber would be 0.5. wouldn't be anchored. Climb, rod clone. Then the rope, rod attachment, bobber attachment, line length, true 0.05. Direction is equal to character from the rope C frame, dialect vector, direction, bobber, non assembly line, linear velocity, equal to direction. Oh, my bad. I calculated it wrong. My bad, my bad. It's not supposed to be multiplied twice. It's supposed to be direction times cast force plus vector. That's what it's supposed to be. Plus, not multiplied. Okay, I see the issue. That's why. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, guys, just change that right there to a plus symbol, right? Then let's try this again. Okay, so equip the rod. There we go, as you guys can see. So boom. And then I can't move obviously until I pull back, and then there we go. So yeah. There we go. As you guys can see, so it's now casting it. As you can see, there we go. Okay, there we go. And then obviously nothing happens if I do it like that. So yeah, there you go. I'm definitely expecting there to be bugs with the system and whatnot. Like I said, if the video gets love and support, I'll continue the series, improve the system, make it a lot better because I know in the actual game it's a lot better. So yeah, but yeah, to show the video love and support. And I definitely got you guys on more parts and stuff. Just let me know anything you want to see, any bugs you find, anything of the sorts. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support you guys been showing on the channel. I really do appreciate it and stuff. Like I said, I hope everybody has a great Christmas Eve and a great Christmas, assuming you support that, or not support that, celebrate that. If you don't, hope you have a great day nonetheless and stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys next video. Thank you all for watching.